Hey viewers, Steve here, and this is E36 Fanatics. Today I'm going to be replacing a sway bar link and a sway bar bushing on a BMW Z4 2005. This car has about 80,000 miles on it, and these cars, they're so low to the ground that once any suspension part starts going, you really notice it because it's just so low to the ground. So I like to keep on these cars. I like to keep the suspension top notch. So this sway bar link has quite a few miles on it, so I'm gonna go ahead and replace it. So here's the old one right here. It's really easy actually to replace the sway bar link. It's only held right here at the bottom, and then one bolt here at the top. And here's my new one right here. You see the two bolts that hold it to the sway bar link or to the frame, and now I'm gonna go ahead and replace it. Okay, so to remove your sway bar link, you're going to take a 16 monkey wrench, and you see the bolt right here? You're going to put it behind there. This bolt, you can go ahead and put a socket on it and turn it, but it's not going to turn unless you actually put a monkey wrench behind it. Then once you have your monkey wrench on it, you can go ahead and start turning it, and it'll come loose pretty easily. Now once you get the top done, you just repeat the process for the bottom, and you go ahead and pop it out, and it's really easy to pop out. Now if it has trouble coming out because it's been sitting there for years and it may be a little rusted inside, give it a tap with a rubber mallet on the end of the bolt. You're not going to use it again anyway. Okay, so when you're replacing sway bar links, there's a couple really important things to look for even before you replace them, just to check if it's about time for them to be replaced. First off, as you see with this right here, see this one has a really big crack on it, and that's a obvious sign that it's time to be replaced when you're doing these. Another sign is when you're looking at it, just take a look at the rubber and see if there's any cracks or anything on it. On this one there were plenty of cracks on both of them, and then there's that tear on the end, which means it's automatically ready to be replaced. And if you see my thumb here, you can see me wiggling it around and everything. You know, it's pretty easy. It's really easy to move around. It's loosened up. Now, when I go back to the new one right here and try and wiggle it around, you see that's a lot tougher. It's not moving anywhere. As these things age, some of the lubricant gets out and the rubber breaks down, so it's a lot easier to move them around. Whereas the new one, it's basically rock solid. You can't really move it around. So as a little side note, while doing this job, you might need a floor jack to hold up the sway bar once you remove the link. So once you remove the link, the sway bar will drop just a tad bit, and that's enough with this German engineering to get the sway bar link off. So what I did is I just took a floor jack and just raised it up just a tad bit so it would fit in, and then it went in just perfectly. And now all you got to do is tighten it, and of course you have to hold the other side the same way as you took it off and tighten it on this side, and just tighten it real good, and then we can move on to then I'm going to move on to the sway bar link, or the sway bar bushing. Okay, so to go ahead and replace your sway bar bushing, it's pretty easy. You just got two bolts, one here, then one up on the other side in there. And what I used is I just used a 13mm long socket, deep socket, and then I used a little extension and just a regular ratchet, and you just loosen up those bolts up here, the 2 bolts around it, and this metal bracket right here you just pop off. And then you can just pull off the rubber right here. Go ahead and pull off the bushing. It's got a little indentation in it at the top, a big cut through it, so you can just pull it off instead of trying to fish it down the sway bar. Okay, so I've removed the sway bar bushing, and it's very easy to remove in general. Once you get the bolts off, you might have to fiddle with the metal casing right here a little bit with a screwdriver, but it's pretty easy to remove. And as I said before, it's got a crack right here to where you can turn it. Once you've got the metal casing off, you can turn the bushing around and just pull it right through. Now, when you have the new one, you're going to have to, what I generally do is I lubricate it a bit with either PB Blaster or WD-40, so I can just slide it back on, and it's in the same spot that the old one is, and then you put back on the metal casing and put the bolts on, and you're home free. No Loctite or anything is required. Actually, don't use any. I wouldn't use any Loctite on that, on this bushing. However, for your sway bar link, if you want to throw some blue Loctite on there, you're more than welcome to. It's probably a good idea to go ahead and throw a little bit of blue Loctite on. And that about completes this job. I'm just gonna put my new one on. Unfortunately, AutoZone didn't have mine ready yet, so I gotta wait a day or two for it. But I hope this helped y'all, and y'all have a good one.